Alright you lot, now I wasn't really planning on making any videos at all this week or the next, because I got mock exams again and I just want to focus entirely on those, but I think this situation is just a bit too serious not to mention, even if I haven't made a commentary video in like, I don't know how long. It's been a few days now, so I'm sure at this point you're familiar with the Travis Scott situation, but if not, let me fill you in. So bro had a concert in Astroworld located in Houston, Texas. They managed to really quickly sell out 50,000 tickets, so as you can probably imagine, it was quite packed, and this resulted in a lot of injuries due to people literally being crushed to death by the crowd. 8 people died, including the youngest being a 14-year-old boy due to either being crushed or failing to breathe. A further 11 had a cardiac arrest or something, and another 400 either had to go to the hospital or were injured, or both. What's even worse is that Travis was made well aware, and there are clips surfacing that prove it, that Travis knew about people falling unconscious, failing to breathe and he continued performing.
What the f is that?
I don't know about you, but those don't really seem like 100% screams of excitement. You can literally hear someone screaming stop in the background. And people like waving their hands around like this, like I think that might be a sign that people aren't exactly having a good time, Travis. But yeah, that's basically the whole situation covered. Now, do you know what this reminds me of? Jonestown. If you don't know what happened there, then there was a guy who had a lot of fans or something, and he had his own town, and eventually he forced everyone to commit suicide, which it can be argued that he's basically a mass murderer. Now, I know these situations aren't exactly very similar, but if you consider the actual similarities, it's not really that different. Both include a crowd of people, both include the person conducting the crowd of people seemingly not caring. Both crowds had no escape, and they both ultimately resulted in fatalities. Now consider, Travis Scott carried on performing no matter what actually happened in the concert. He knew that people were dying, but he wanted to get his concert over because that's obviously more important. Who cares about your own fans' lives? Do you know what I mean? If you think about it, this guy literally killed his own fans. I personally consider him a murderer. People literally died as a result of his actions, and as I said, including a 14-year-old boy and another 16-year-old girl. Now there's also this Instagram post I found. I have no evidence to verify that this person is actually like seriously from the concert, but I mean, let's face it, they probably are. So yeah, I won't read out like every single word, but I will highlight the key details just so you can get an idea of how just terrible this situation happened to be. Travis Scott is the only one performing. I don't know how many people were at the festival, but I do know that every single person was at that stage. My friend and I wanted to be as close to the stage as we could possibly get. We were not able to get very close, but we did end up on the side near the walkway in the middle. Surrounding us were chest-high metal gates, barriers. We stood there for 2 hours, as did every other person. Every gap was filled. Where your feet were placed was where they stayed. Energy rose as the time neared. Within the first 30 seconds of the first song, people began to drown in other people. There were so many people, tall men, women and men, where the only thing they could see was the back of the person in front of them. Breathing became something that only a few were capable of. The rest were crushed or unable to breathe. My friend began to gasp for breath, and she told me we needed to get out. We tried, there was nowhere to go. So yeah, you get the idea. Now there's another part of her post I want to talk about. There were people standing there doing nothing, like nothing was happening, like people weren't dead a few feet from them. I saw the cameraman, eyes glued to the stage, elevated on a platform that looked directly into the ground, into the crowd. Climbed the ladder and pointed to the hole, telling him people were dying. He told me to get off the platform and continued filming. I screamed over and over again. He wouldn't even look in the right direction. So I pushed the camera, so I pointed it towards where I just came from. He became angry. He called someone else up. The other man grabbed my arm. He told me he would push me off the 15-foot platform with no sides if I didn't get down. I told him to help. I told him people were dying. I showed him where. He wouldn't look in the direction either. I was in disbelief. Here were 2 people that could actually do something, had the power to do something. Cut the camera, call him back up, pause something. They did nothing. I looked over at the sinkhole. People were screaming, reaching out their hands toward me, calling for help. I couldn't see the floor. The strangest thing happened in that moment. People began to boo at me. They pointed their fury at me, unleashed a rage. I screamed people were dying over and over, and no one would listen. Now, to the people who done that, you piss off, honestly. It's almost like people, like the crew and some of the crowd, apparently this was like an elaborate thing to try and kill off a bunch of Travis's fans. and him being a part of it. I've never seen a situation so close to a mass murder in quite a while. Now, in case you actually care, the guy has been sued by the people at the concert, which they definitely should. I highly doubt he's going to get arrested because, I mean, let's face it, it's Travis Scott. He's not going to get arrested, but I mean, if I was in charge of the law, I would definitely have him do time in prison. Like, what is the point in having fans if you're going to make them die? Now, there's clips everywhere of the concert and stuff. I'm not going to show any because I don't feel like it. I mean, I've watched like one besides the one I showed you earlier anyway, but if you're really that curious, then you can probably look it up if you want to, and then you will find it. I will show this though. It's Travis' apology or whatever. I don't think it's actually that important, but I'll show it anyway because it's relevant to the topic, so just look.
To the ones that was lost last night, we're actually working right now to identify the families so we can help assist them through this tough time. You know, my fans really mean the world to me, and I always just really want to leave them with a positive experience. And anytime I can make out, you know, anything that's going on, I stop the show and, you know, help them get the help they need, you know. I could just never imagine the severity of the situation.
Now, I'm not going to spend any time analysing whether I think this is real or fake, because honestly, if I'm 100% honest, I don't care. But I will say, regardless, that it doesn't make any sense to me that during the concert he was completely prioritising his performance over his own fans' lives, and now that it's gained news attention, he's on Instagram like crying about it, saying, oh, we're gonna reach out to the families so we can assist them in this tough time. Like, you might as well just not bother, because their families are definitely very pissed at you because you are responsible for what you did. It's literally like turning up to someone's door and saying, I'm sorry I killed your child. It was your concert and you done nothing when you could have done something, so therefore everything is your fault.
We've been working closely with everyone to just try to get to the bottom of this. The City of Houston, HPD, fire department.
Okay, I don't want to talk about how real it looks, judging by like his face expressions and actions and that, but working with who? Like, and who's we? There's no one there. Now, as I said, this guy is facing a lawsuit. Honestly, I think he deserves to face more than a lawsuit. I think he deserves to go to prison for a bit, but it is what it is, I guess. And oh, well, you look at that. Amazing. Well, if you still play that game for some reason, then yeah, forget about that Travis Scott emote, I guess, if you still haven't got it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a couple dozen lawsuits filed, or more than a dozen lawsuits filed, and yeah, I guess that guy is getting what he deserves. You know, is what it is. So yeah, that will be it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm not going to make the outro too long because I gotta go back to revising, so just leave a like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links are down below in the description. What else? I think that's it. So yeah, have a nice day, and in a bit, fellas.